Last minute, send a message out to that downline of yours and get them here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this is our New Year presentation for associates. I know it's not on January 1st, but we're awful close. All right. So we just wanted to get everybody together and kind of give you a heads up on what's happening this year and give you some information in terms of setting goals and everything else we like to do at the first of the year to really plan for the best year ever. Are you guys ready for 2025 being your best year ever? Anyone else besides Mary Jo? Come on, pump those hands up in the
Okay,
air.
put a 1 in the chat if you're ready.
Throw a 1 in the chat. Let's go. Let's get some energy in this group and have some fun tonight where it's going to be a brief 1-hour presentation and we're going to cover a lot of bases, but we're so excited you're here tonight. Thanks for showing up. The first thing we're going to kick off with is we're going to hear from Al Bala. Sorry, not live. He actually taped this. What was it, Lydia? He taped it in the bathroom at an American Airlines
In the shower.
shower. Oh, so I mean, how many of us can say, "Hey, I'm that committed," right? It's like,
This
or
might
how
be
many of us-
spectacular, Mary Jo.
yeah,
This it might be spectacular. We don't know.
we don't know.
We might hear somebody next to Al. We don't know. Who knows?
I know. When I say that, I sometimes think to myself, they're probably half this group going, why didn't he prepare in advance? That was the analyst group. But us promoters, we understand Al Bala and we know exactly why he gets stuck in the bathroom of American Airlines Center to do a video for us. So we want to welcome. Let's go. Fresh start. Let's go, Lydia. Play the video.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is Al Bala coming to you on our very first meeting of 2025. And I just want to say congratulations for being here. Today is going to be a really exciting day. Now, it's exciting for me. I'm coming to you from a shower room in American Airlines Lounge because I am my way to Miami to take my mother-in-law back home. Yes, and we had a flight delay. So if you're seeing me on video, it's because the flight was not going to make it on time. So I had to do this on video for you. But this is so critical. Today is so critical. It couldn't be a better time for us to be having this meeting. I'm going to be setting it up. I'm going to be kind of, taking the first stab at what we're going to talk about today. But I know you have Mary Jo and Kevin that are really going to take you through the rest of the steps. Mary Jo's going to talk about the mindset. What are we talking about? Goal setting. We're talking about New Year's resolution. I think this is a great activity for this time of the year, and you're going to understand why. There's a reason for the timing. There's a reason on the mindset it takes. There's a reason for how you do it. Because the reason why most people don't do it is because they don't know how to do it. And that's probably one of the number one reason why people don't do more goal setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share a quick presentation that I put together for all of you because this is so critical. I didn't want to just leave it to just a mere talk. I want this to be of value to you. This is really, it is that critical. So what are we talking about? We're talking about setting our goals, is setting our vision and our dreams for 2025 and beyond, and setting our goals for 2025. 2025, a year like no other. That's how we dubbed it. Thank you, Mary Jo, for actually bringing those words together. I also like to say, let's thrive in 25. Let's rise in 25. We know 2024 was a tough year for many people. It was a year of loss where a lot of us are healing through this process. But what we got to do is we got to heal through our victories. We got to heal through our activities. We got to heal through doing the things it takes to really make this life a better life for others, because that's what we're all about. Now, why is this critical? Is because guess what? Only 3% of Americans have written goals and objectives. So what you're about to do, this process you're about to go through, the decisions you're about to make today in the next few days, just remember you are in a minority. You're only 3% of Americans who actually sit down and do this. I'm told that people spend more time planning a birthday than they do planning the rest of their lives. And that's what you're doing today. We're going to do something that is absolutely critical. New Year's resolution. I'm going to talk about the timing in a minute, but let's talk about resolution for a minute, because resolutions get a bad rap. Because we know that by January 15th, by January 31st, most people have already gone away from those resolutions. They've already given up on those resolutions. But I asked ChatGPT, I said, give me 5 reasons why New Year's resolutions work. And it says, well, when approached thoughtfully, they can be very highly effective for personal growth. This is the 5 reasons why they work. Number 1, you get to set some clear goals. Now, this is what Kevin is going to go through. This is what Mary Jo is going to go through. Setting clear goals is why New Year's resolutions work. Clear, specific, and measurable goals. And then there's the act of writing them down. When you write it down, something magical happens. And then when you put it down in small step, it makes it possible. It makes the dream possible. Number 2 is what they call a fresh start mentality. The start of a new year symbolizes a clean slate, providing a psychological boost. So there's a thing called the fresh start effect, which can make people more motivated to begin new habits and let go of old ones, having a sense of renewal. Well, some of you might wonder, well, what is that about this fresh start effect? Well, this happens that there's a study. There's a paper that was written by the Wharton School of Economics by 5 or 6 professors that got together, and they studied the concept of a fresh start. And what they came out to their conclusion is that there is such a thing as a fresh start effect. Temporal landmarks motivate aspirational behavior. This is a 21-page report. Basically, they say temporal landmarks, such as the beginning of a new year or a birthday or even Mondays, can serve as a psychological motivator that encourages individuals to pursue goals and adopt new habits. Guys, that's what we're about. That's what we're going to do today. This is what we're starting today. The paper says that landmark creates a sense of a clean slate that can enhance motivation and goal-setting behaviors. The authors demonstrated through various studies that people are more likely to engage in aspirational activities following these temporal markers. So New Year's resolutions serve as a temporal landmark. So they work for that reason. And that's why I congratulate you for being here, for taking the time to do this. Now, temporal landmark, New Year's, birthdays, Mondays, those things are important. Psychological clean slate. These landmarks create a perception of separation from past failures with drawing a line in the sand, encouraging positive behavioral changes. And then there's aspirational behavior. What are those? The effect is particularly strong in contexts related to self-improvement, health, finance, education. And this study shows definitely evidence through these experiments that there was increased motivation and goal-setting behaviors that were linked to things like a New Year's resolution. And there's broader implications. Understanding this effect can also help us in designing intervention in various fields from health to finance. So 5 action points. Identify your temporal landmark. In this case, New Year's, a New Year's resolution. Set clear goals. Kevin is going to go through all of that today. Reflect on past behavior. We're going to talk about that. Creating new habits. Absolutely what Mary Jo is going to cover, along with the mindset of a New Year's resolution. And use reflecting on past behavior, take an audit of the things that have happened, the things, achievements. Think about your achievements as much as you think about the failures. We learn from the failures, but achievements give us a sense of confidence. Creating habits, using reminders, being very conscious about what is a temporal landmark. So number 3 reason why resolutions work is public accountability. Telling friends, family, and even social media followers about your goals can motivate you to follow through. You're more likely to stay committed when others are aware of your intentions. We love accountability. We're going to talk all about this accountability system we're going to put in place for you, especially if you're part of the movers and shakers. Increase motivation through reflection. New Year's is a time of reflection, taking stock of what you've accomplished, what you've done, what went well, what didn't go well, what you want to do more of, what you want to do less of. The reflection leads to a stronger intrinsic motivation, the motivation that comes from within, making it more likely for you to stick with your resolution. Now, that's what we talk about. Do a life audit, and we'll talk more about that. We'll create some documents about you just taking a minute to do a life audit. Where are you? Because unless you know where you are, it's hard to decide where you're going to go if you don't know where you're going from, and then what it's going to take to fill that gap between where you are and where you want to be in 8 areas of life: health, home life, finance, man tech, relationships, personal development, free time, and hobbies. Those will be important. New Year's resolutions work because it's about forming new positive habits that will extend way beyond the time of beyond a month or 2 or 3. It's going to take you through the whole year and hopefully through your whole life. These habits, when they become automatic, can create lasting change. Now, I went to ChatGPT and I said, tell me why New Year's resolutions don't work. And this is what it said: unrealistic expectations. So we're going to help you manage your expectation. I'm going to go through this really fast, but understand when you're setting your goals, they need to be ambitious, but they also have to be realistic. When they're overly ambitious, when they're overly unrealistic, it doesn't work. When goals are set so high without considering the effort or time required, failure becomes more likely. That's true. Lack of specificity and clarity. We're going to talk about clarity this whole day. I know Kevin is going to be hitting that. I know that Mary Jo is going to be talking about clarity. When your goals lack clarity, likely you're not going to get there. Inadequate planning and strategy. This is what we've been working on the last few months, creating all kinds of system, onboarding system, recruiting system, duplication system, so we can create some small steps, achievable steps that can really create sustainable results. Number 4, loss of motivation over time. Initial excitement, enthusiasm over fade after the first failure. Well, guess what? This is why we need each other. This is why we need this community. You are going to fail. Failure is just a part of success. No, everybody wants yes, but no is the way to the yeses, right? So motivation alone is often not enough to sustain long-term change without the support of habits, systems, routine, and I'm going to add a strong community. We need a strong community. Number 5, failure to build sustainable habits. New Year's resolution can sometimes be as short-term goals rather than opportunities to build lasting habits. Okay, we need to build lasting habits, sustainable habits that require time, repetition, and consistency. And without them, resolutions will tend to fizzle out. Ultimately, resolutions that are vague, unrealistic, poorly planned, and lacking long-term commitment are likely to fail. The key to making resolutions work is to set achievable, specific goals and take a structured, persistent approach to them. Now, why you should set goals? Because a systematized process for setting goals increases the likelihood of success by 1,000%. That's the famous 10x. We talk about 10x your goals, 10x your achievement. What else? Why should you set goals? The only limit to your ability to set and achieve goals is your belief, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Folks, when you set your goals, you're also creating a belief system. You're creating a belief system. And what you can believe, you can achieve. And the last thing I'm going to say to you all, as we look at getting really busy over the next few months at really making these goals come true, working on our goals, is that we're going to be thinking in terms of what is ultimately success in this process. Is success the things you're going to achieve, or success the thing you're going to become yourself in the process of achieving? I love this by Zig Ziglar. It says, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. So I know we all want to be the greatest version of ourselves, and we will do that by setting goals, creating the right habits, having the right mindset, being part of the right community of people, staying accountable, And then we also, at the same time, not only will achieve our goals, but we will become the best version of ourselves. So it's been amazing. I know that 2025 will be a year like no other. That is what we're going for. And I hope that you are all committed, like I am, to making this the best year of your life, the best year yet. We love you guys, and we will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.
Woohoo, thanks, Al. That was pretty good. What do you guys think? Get motivated, get a little. In fact, I'm so jacked up, I think I'm just going to exit and hit my goals right now. No, kidding. We have to learn first how to set goals. And some of you, how many of us have set goals over the year in and year out and year in and year out, right? And how many have watched those goals get flushed down the toilet or done over here or over here, right? Well, tonight we're going to hear from a goal experts, right? So let's hear from Kevin Robbins, who's going to talk about setting goals. And I just pray that you guys walk away from this event tonight and you take the time to, what you've absorbed is to really apply it tonight. Because what happens if we wait till tomorrow? It's called the seepage from the brain, right? We go, what was that Kevin said yesterday? I don't remember. So let's welcome Kevin Robbins to the stand. Kevin, give us some insight on setting goals.
All right. Thank you, Mary Jo. And I want to deflect your introduction one part. I don't consider myself an expert at goal setting. I'm a student of goal setting. I think Al is an expert of goal setting. And frankly, a lot of what I'm going to share came from about 2 years ago. Al hosted, I think a lot of the presidentials flew to California, and we had a 2-day seminar on goal setting and on, a lot of the things that Al was talking about, following through, how to be specific. And so a lot of what I learned at that event, I still apply to this day. And I'm looking, it's telling me I need to continue speaking in Spanish. Anyway, a lot of what I learned at that event, I still use today. And so I'm going to talk about some of those things. Some of the things Al already mentioned. One of the challenges of following Al is you never know what he's going to say. So he used some of the slides that I have as well. But I think that's okay, because I'm gonna dive a little deeper. I'm gonna get a little more specific and get into the details. But before I do, I ran across a video this week that I want to play for you. Let's see, here we go. Right here. It's by Robert Herjavec. And if you don't know who that is, he is like a Shark Tank guy, he's an entrepreneur. He's not in our business specifically, but this is just a successful entrepreneur talking about some of the specific things that we're talking about tonight. And so I thought it was a great way to start off our presentation. So here we go.
I had a bias. I would look at people who started a business and I'd be like, well, that can't be me. I'm not qualified. I'm not educated. I couldn't speak to people like I can now. And I just never thought I could do it. I think in life, you get to a point where you have to make a decision. Either you accept where you are, or the pain of your current situation will force you to change. And I think it was the pain of where I was just made me go out and do it. And I did it one day. I talked to some people. I asked for an order. I didn't get it. And I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again. And I think repetition creates discipline, and discipline creates habits for success. I had a bias. I would look at people.
Boy, I think that's so good. So good. And again, I think what that tells me is what we're learning, what we're teaching, what we're doing translates into every walk of life. We're going to be talking about growing our Manatech business and setting goals in our Manatech business. But what you want to become, who you want to become, what you want to change in your life, the steps that's necessary, you either accept where you are, which is what Robert just said, you either accept where you are, or the pain of where you are forces you to say, I'm ready to make it. I'm ready to finally do something different and make that change. And so again, that's in every part of our life, and that's in every part of what we do. But we're gonna we're going to narrow that down to Manatech. So let me now share my presentation. All right, here we go. There's so much open on my screen. Sorry, guys, give me just a minute. I can't see where we are. All right, there we go. Okay. All right. So what we're going to talk about tonight is goal setting. Al talked about this same concept. Before we start thinking about where we want to go, before you start thinking about where you want to go, it's important to know where you are. It's important to know, to do what's called a life audit, to know where you are in different parts of your life. And so there's 8 areas of your life that you can do a life audit. Now, I'm not going to, again, this is a 2-day seminar that Al and others gave. I'm doing this in about 10 minutes tonight. But I'm just going to kind of briefly go through to just assess where you are in your home life and your relationships with your spouse, with your kids, your finances. When I talk, we talk about life audit, spend some time looking at your finances. A lot of people I know, especially when things get tough and bills pile up, we tend to just want to like put the bills over there in a corner, and we don't want to look at them, and we don't want to look at our 401k or even have one, and because out of sight, out of mind. But that is not how we set goals. That is not how we improve. You have to have an honest assessment of where you are. And it can be good, it can be bad, it can be in the middle, it doesn't matter. At this point, it's just like, hey, where are you? So where are your finances? What kind of money did you make in 2024? We certainly want to know what you made in Manatech, but that's the next one. But this is just overall the money you made, what you did, do you have any savings? What's your debt? I mean, just have an open, honest audit about where you are. Manatech, same thing. We want to spend some time looking at the money that you made, the levels that you achieved, success tracker, what kind of volume do you have? And again, some of you, if you're fairly new, or maybe your business isn't that big, it'll be an eye opener to what your business is. Others might be surprised that you have more volume in certain areas that you were surprised in. But it's just spending some time looking at where you are and doing an honest assessment of that. Again, relationships. This is about your friend relationships, self-care, personal development, free time, hobby. Not going to go into all that, but what's your exercise routine? What's your eating plan like? And again, this is not to judge it at this point. This is just to know what it is, to know what your 2024 was. Because if you're going to change something, if you're going to create a goal to improve in whatever area, we're going to talk about Manatech. But again, I think when you're doing New Year's resolutions and you're setting goals, we should be looking at doing them in all areas of our life, not just in our business life. At any rate, if you're going to be setting those goals, you need to know where they came from. And so what changes would make the biggest impact in your life for each area? So you can just go through and talk about, your home life and improving a relationship with a spouse or with the kid or with somebody, an in-law or something might be the biggest impact in your home life. And again, go through that, your finances, Manatech relationship. What's the one area that you can improve? Al showed this same one. Only 3% of Americans have written goals and objectives. But I think this is important too. And my dad has always been real big on setting goals in a pen and with pencil. Goals aren't necessarily meant to be set in pen because you can change them. The main thing is just having a goal. Having any goal is better than no goal at all. And so just the process of what we're doing tonight and talking about it is going to create, this is what Al showed you as well, a 10x improvement over whatever it is you're focused on. So again, we're going to talk about Manatech, but all those areas of your life, by just thinking about it, systemizing a goal, being very specific on what you want to change and how you're going to do it, and we'll talk about that, has a 10x improvement. I gave this presentation to the European group back in December, and one of the things that I talked about, I just like Al, I like to use ChatGPT for some of my research. But I looked at, because I knew that there was some statistics, some studies on weight loss. And, there's a lot of different diets, plans, and exercise plans and all that. But there's one thing that when you look at what's one thing I can do to have the biggest impact on my weight loss, and you might be surprised what that is. Just measuring yourself every day, the systematic process of measuring yourself, weighing yourself every day, creates change in your life, unintended, almost psychological change in your life that will create improvements in the area of fat loss, weight loss, all that sort of thing. Now, again, I'm not saying you don't need a diet plan, you don't need to take the right supplements, you don't need to exercise, but here's what happens. By just focusing on it, thinking about it, knowing that every morning you're gonna look on the scale. Again, I know that there's probably some weight loss gurus that say don't ever do this. I'm really not talking about weight loss. I'm using it as a metaphor for something bigger. But I know for me, when a couple of years ago, it was really important. I started playing tennis. I wanted to lose 10 pounds. Well, I got very focused on it, very intentional, and so I weighed myself every morning, every evening. And just because I was going to do that, I know that throughout the day, I knew that, all right, I want to see some improvement tonight. So I'm going to skip that candy bar that I was going to eat, or I'm going to make sure that I do go outside and walk or run, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go play tennis, or whatever it is. I motivated myself because I knew that I wanted to see improvement. And so again, this is about goal setting. It's about writing it down, measuring yourself. It can improve your success by 10-fold. All right, so here's the crux of it. How to properly set goals. So I'm going to go through these very quickly, but then I'm going to go back and give you some examples. So the goals must be specific and measurable, need a deadline, need to be written in the present tense. They need to align with your values. They need to be realistic. I'll talk about this, but also a bit of a stretch. So again, if you're just starting in your business, one of your goals is probably not to be crown platinum by the end of your first year. That's not a realistic goal. So you need to find what is realistic, but again, is a stretch for you, and it needs to be something personal. So let's talk about that. So let's say, before I go into Manatech, let's go back to the weight loss or fat loss goal. Let's talk about how to set goals. So you might have a goal that says, I'd like to lose 20 pounds. Okay. If that's your goal, I want to lose 20 pounds. If that's your only goal, now you've met the specific and measurable category, but you didn't put a deadline on it. At this point, you haven't written it down. You didn't put it in present tense. So let's improve that by saying, I want to lose 20 pounds by March. And I'm going to write it down and then change it to present tense and say, in March, I will have lost, I have lost 20 pounds. Or, by March, I am 180 pounds. That would be for me. And now, of course, that's in alignment with your values, and it's a stretch and it's personal, but that's still not good enough. Okay. So it's better. I've made it better, right? Than just saying, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. Now I've given a deadline, I've written it down, I've put it in the present tense. But here's how you make it better. What are you going to do to lose 20 pounds? What are the specific things? Because you need to get it so specific and so measurable that you need to know what you're going to do every single day. Because if it's just general, I want to lose 20 pounds. It's so easy to just kind of forget about it and not worry about it today. But if you know that I'm going to be on an eating plan, I want to have this much activity every day. I want to have 10,000 steps. There's so many ways to measure that. We have watches and other things that we can measure our steps and our activity. So again, as part of, I want to lose 20 pounds, I want to have 10,000 steps a day. I want to eat healthy. I want to take the right supplements. Of course, we want to be on the Manatech supplements. And so we've got very specific, measurable goals. That's the way to set a goal for losing weight. Let's talk about Manatech. That's what we're here for tonight, right? So one goal could be, I'd like to make more money. I want to, let me just keep it very general. I'd like to make $1,500. That's a lot of people start off by thinking, hey, I'd like to make 500 to 1,000 or $1,500. That's not really a goal. It's kind of a wish, hope. So we need to make it more specific, right? We need to put a timeline on it. We need to write it down, present tense, values, all that kind of thing. But again, just like the weight loss, making money is not specific enough. And not even, so let's kind of back off from that. Let's say 1,500 was your goal. So wherever you are in your business, your goal should be to get to either silver executive or gold executive, in between those numbers is what you need to get to 1,500. And so let's say that your goal is to be there, again, 3 months from now, by the end of March. And you can make it, you can write it down, you can put it in the present tense and values, but again, it's not specific enough. What are the things that you're going to do on a daily basis in order to accomplish that goal? And now we're getting into how many people are you going to contact on a daily basis? Well, let's start looking at, this is where I want to help you. I saw in the chat somebody asked about some specific goals. Now we can't do it for everyone, but Lydia has a couple of documents that probably will be sharing it next week, or I don't know, she might even share it tonight, I'm not sure. But both of those are building with about 500 points of customer volume, including your own order. So building with 500 PPV, and then teaching that to 4 people and going down 4 levels, doing the same thing with about 1,000 points, right? So let's do the 500. So let's say that what we'd like to accomplish is to be able to be presidential by the end of the year. I want to be presidential director, and I'm starting from scratch, but I want to be presidential director by the end of the year. Okay, so the goal would be, I am presidential director on December 31st, 2025. I'm going to write it down. It's very specific, it's measurable. But now we need to fill in, what are we going to do? Well, if you look at the document that we'll be sharing with you, and again, this is also online, it starts with you yourself need to have 500 points in customer volume and your own order. So you need 2 or 3 customers ordering. And so your goals need to number one, be able to accomplish that, right? So you need to have a goal to accomplish having 500 points. Then the next line is to have 4 associates do the same thing. And so now another goal would be to have 4 associates. Do you have those 4 associates in your organization right now? I don't know. Maybe you've got 1 or 2, and you've got some people on your team that you can work with and help them get to 500. Or you might need to get a couple of more. Maybe you need to get all 4. But that's part of your goals. And again, what do you need to do to get those is the number of contacts you need to make in a day and how many people you're going to invite to the meeting next week. That's a way to do that. So those are like how to do it. But I'm trying to be very specific on, all right, you got 4 associates now, helping them get 500 points. That makes you what's called a team 4. So that's now down 2 levels, team 4. And you are, at that point, you're probably making about $500 per month, about $400 or $500 per month. If you help those 4 people do the same thing, where each of those get 4, that puts you at a level that's now the 3rd level down. You're silver executive. I talked about that earlier. Silver executive, average income is just over $1,000. If that goes down 1 more time, you're presidential director. So that could be some very specific, a very specific goal that you have, starting with yourself and what you're going to do, and then moving to, again, I'm going to have 4 people on my team. I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to have 4 people, and I'm going to have 500 points. And here's what I'm going to do to get that. Once you accomplish that, the next thing is to help them do the same thing, and so on. The next document that Lydia has that we share on a Tuesday night is it's the same process, but it's now everyone moving to 1,000 points instead of just 500. So you can start at 500 and move to 1,000, and that significantly increases the end result by having 1,000 points. But the point is to be very, very specific so that you can be very measurable, to have a deadline for when that's going to happen. Write it down, put it in the present tense, make sure it aligns with your values, and that just means that you're willing to do the work, right? That you're willing to do what it is that you're writing down. It's one thing for you to ask other people to do certain things, but are you willing to do it yourself? And then again, this is realistic, it's a stretch, and it must be personal. So these are just a few ideas. We can also have goals about how many people that we're going to invite to Tuesday night meetings. And, so if you want to have 5 people next week show up, you can't just invite 5. You're going to have to invite, 10 or 15, talk to them, send them some messaging. And so goals, you can have as many as you want. But I think if we go back to what specifically we're trying to accomplish this year, and then look at what do I need to do to accomplish that, I think that's going to be a huge step of success for all of us as we move forward. Just a couple more things. This is one to just kind of get your mind. A lot of times we get focused on where we are in our life and our finances, and it limits us. So this is just an exercise that just said, hey, if you won $1 million, or you inherited $1 million, or you had access to $1 million, what would be the 10 things that you would do? And it just, again, helps you kind of open your mind for, would you travel more? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you donate more to your church? And it just gets you out of your limiting thinking that sometimes your circumstances can create. And then this is just another way of looking at it is, what would be the 10 things that you would do if you just had 6 months to live? Al talked about this year, 2024, being a time of loss for some of our associates. And our time here on earth is limited, and we get caught up in busyness and caught up in tasks sometimes that, we feel are important at the time. And yet when time is limited and that time is precious, there are certain priorities that we would shift and maybe do things differently if we lived that way with that sort of priority in life. And so this is just a good exercise to spend some time thinking about things you would do. Again, if you had 6 months to live, what would be your top 10 bucket list, so to speak? And so between this and the previous one, again, it just kind of opens your mind to just maybe do goal setting differently this year. Because if you've been doing it the last few years and it hasn't worked for you, it's a good idea to do something different. Come up with another idea, come up with something a little different this year. So again, just trying to get you to think outside the box a little bit as we talk about goal setting. And then, so we'll just end with Zig Ziglar. What you get by achieving your goals is not nearly as important as who you become by achieving your goals. So again, what you get is not as important as who you become. And it goes back to the concept of goal setting, whether you write it in pen or pencil, the specific goals are not that critical. Like what you write down is not as critical as the fact that you wrote something down, as that you have a path now towards accomplishing it. Because again, as you move forward in life, things can change. You can increase your goal, you can lower it, whatever. But just being in the habit of having goals, being very specific, knowing where you are, having an honest assessment of where you are, and being able to talk about where you're going, I think can change your business, can change your life. And I think we can all have a better 2025 than any of us have expected. And I just want to say, I think Al talked about this, or Mary Jo did at the very beginning, but there is a sense of optimism around the world. This has nothing to do with political parties or anything, because this is around the world. And you can Google some of this, but it's almost a phenomenon in 2025 that there just seems to be a sense of real optimism, because we have been in this period of pessimism and inflation and just, everything ebbs and flows. But it appears that this year is a time of growth and optimism. And so the question is, where are you going to be at the end of 25? And will that be in a much better place than you are at the beginning of 2025? And I believe that the answer is yes. Mary Jo's going to have a lot more of the details and helping you move that forward. But hope you enjoyed that tonight. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week as we have our opportunity meeting.
Thank you, Kevin. That was awesome. I loved your talk, and it brought back some memories of. I'll just share a quick story because it just hit this home run ball for me. That we go out there and we pray for blessings and we do certain things, and I'll never forget the story when a friend of mine in San Antonio said, "Mary Jo, we have an opportunity to invest in a fish food company. Now, how many of you would jump at that?" I was like, I don't even own fish. What do I want? Right? It was this funny thing. But you just have this sense that maybe this is something I'd like to do. So I interviewed the guys that ran it and I put 20 grand into it. Well, 4 years later, Walmart walked in and bought them out, and my 20,000 became $1.4 million. Okay, you getting this? It's like when opportunity knocks, you may not even value it. But at the time too, I said, you know what, this came out of nowhere. So instead of being a tax lawyer, I said, I don't want the IRS to get any of this. So I immediately set up a charitable foundation. I put the stock in there before they cashed it out. And I gave up 10%, 140,000 to my church. And the rest of it went into charitable foundation. Isn't that beautiful? But I just bring it up. This isn't about boasting or just because it wasn't about Mary Jo. It was just, I made a wonderful investment. But the idea of just having the flexibility to know that there is a multitude of ways that we can earn income out there. But one of my favorites is what we're doing right now. Doing Manatech is one of my favorites because every single person who I share Manatech with, it changes their lives. So I just want to say first, thank all of you for being great Manatechers because this is such an incredible business for us to go out there and help change people's lives. So it's just great. So what I'm gonna talk about is the final one is setting up personal habits, because you know, our behavior makes a lot of difference in the results we create. Are we all in agreement with that? And so the first thing you got to do is look in a mirror and say, how am I going to be different? If 20, we all go, oh yeah, New Year's resolutions. Well, let me just bust your bubble and say, if you don't choose to be different, you're not going to create any different results. It's just kind of common sense, unless you happen to find a fish food company and invest in it, right? But, they don't come about every day. So the idea is that you really want to look at yourself and do some self-examination and say, what do I need to do differently, right? So one of the things, first of all, I love, if we don't measure things, they don't get done. Did you ever notice that? If we don't keep trackers, or they don't happen. We're all easily getting up in the morning and going, I can do whatever I want now. I think I'll do my little Manatech. And then all of a sudden we get a phone call and we're off on the tennis court with Kevin or whatever else we might be choosing to do. We get easily distracted. So it's critically important that we decide that we're going to hold ourselves accountable. My whole life, it's always been about accountability. So that wasn't a problem. Maybe that came from my lawyering back. I don't know, but I've always looked at it and said, okay, Mary Jo, here's your to-do list, get her done. And I just would get her done, right? It just was one of those processes. And the network marketing industry is so tied to this about accountability because if you're sitting back waiting for 25 people to knock on your door tomorrow because they can't wait to get on Ambertoast, I hate to pop your bubble, but it's not going to happen. So it's going to take us taking deliberate action. So right now we're really working on growing our business in a couple different ways, right? First of all, we have this concept of growing our business online, right? It's a brand new concept for me anyway. I wasn't really big online all the time. I wasn't because I rather meet with you one-on-one, face-to-face. I love people and I love being around people, but the Facebook, all this stuff that came out, it was kind of like, a little foreign to me. Of course, Lydia had it down pat, but I was like, I'd rather just have people over to my house. I'd rather go meet them out for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. That was my preference. But today we have this gigantic opportunity, and many of you have already taken advantage of it or are in the process of doing it. But if you're going to build your business online, there really is a great way to do that. And Mary Jo didn't come up with this because you just heard my anathema towards online. Even doing this presentation, I'd rather have you guys right there so I could touch and grab you and hug you, and because that's the kind of person I am. But the idea is we really have a gigantic opportunity to do this business online. And so what I'm going to do, I put it in the chat. I think Lydia put it in the chat. We built a couple of sheets that hopefully worksheets that might help you out on the level of accountability. Because we hear all these great trainings and we do it and then we start doing it. And what happens like 3 days later? We stop doing it. Or we forgot what they said, or we don't have a tracker sheet, or we don't have something. So what this is, the first one is how to be most proficient online in my Manatech business. This is the sheet you can use. And it's just a daily checker every single day. Lydia, I want to put it up there and we'll show. Looks Greek to me. There you go. How to be most proficient online. Okay, so this is on social media sites, in my Manatech business, daily action items. And it tells you each one, commenting on others' posts, minimum of 20 comments, friend requests, minimum of 10, create stories, minimum of 3, add post to news feed, minimum of 2, and then Teamsy, complete your daily goal. So we're all familiar with Teamsy. Hopefully, if you're not, then get familiar with it. It's a great tool. But this is just a way that you can track yourself, and notice across the top, it goes 1 through 31, depending on what month it is. It's either, 30 or 31 days in the month, right? And you just keep track of yourself. And because there's that famous statement out there, which I actually put on the form, what gets measured is what gets managed. If you're not measuring it, i.e. keeping it tracked, you're not going to manage it. So you're going to be out of control. And you don't have to choose, the minimums are in those boxes. You can start off at 5 if you want to, or 10, or whatever you want. But these are suggestions. I didn't come up with them. Where do you suspect I went to get the highest and best advice on how to build a business online? How about Ursula's group, right? These guys, I mean, she didn't get to silver presidential in 6 months because she sat back and worked at her ranch. She was online. These guys are experts online growing their business. So that's why I went to, and that's where all this information is coming from in terms of setting your goals, minimums you should hit on a daily basis. So that's one form that we're making available to you. It's in the chat. You can download it. I'm sure we can get it, put on the website as well, other places, so you can have access to it. But, it's really taking on, hey, how do I know I'm doing what's required to produce the results that I want to create? Helpful, everybody? Because I know I hear from a lot of associates who say to me, they go, well, Mary Jo, I've been doing it online and nothing's happening. And I go, well, tell me what you're doing. Tell me your routine. And they look at me like, routine? like, how do you spell that word? Right? And I'm just saying, when you start being online, people have expectations of you being there. You're going to grow relationships that way. And if you're on and off and up and down, guess what? They'll exit and go find somebody else that's reliable, dependable. They know there's going to be there, all the kind of things, right? So just take this on and do it. And you can, again, pick your numbers you want to do. You don't have to take what's exactly on that sheet, but you can start small and bite sizes that you can do. And even with the numbers the way they look, you spend an hour or 2 a day, you'll get all of that done. That's all it takes. It's not going to take you 8 hours. If you try to do it tomorrow and you've never been online before, it'll probably take you 2 days because it's your first time. But once you get it as a habit and it just comes so natural and flows for you, you'll knock it out of the park. So that's online activity, right? Now we want to look at something else. What else are we doing? Because we grow our business more than just online. And again, we need accountability for that too. Because if I talk to so many associates and they tell me, oh, I'm doing the business. I said, well, how many people do you contact a day? What are your methods of contact? How are you actually getting people in front of you? Are you following up? How many are you following up? So what this sheet is a weekly action tracker, fill in daily, where you're just saying, how many new contacts? And there's a point system associated with it. So you can actually work off of a reward system for yourself. If you choose to use it or not, that's up to you. Okay. So you get to have your total points at the end of the week. Some of us, Mary Jo is very responsive to reward systems. I don't know, raise your hand. Anyone else in there with me, or I'm the only one that likes the reward system? I like to see, hey, I hit that. It's almost like I want that bell in my office. I can ring a bell to say you did it, right? And this is what you want to, the new contact made, follow up with prospect on the Zoom, business presentation. That goes through all the prospecting steps, and it goes through group support. You want to continue, critical for all of us growing a business. When you stop supporting your group will stop supporting the business. So they're responsive to you because you're their leader. So we need to be leaders. We need to step into that leadership role. So group support, personal development. And a lot of people know Mary Jo loves personal development. I have independent courses that I teach. I actually have corporate clients in personal development work, right? So I'm entrenched, but you better believe I invest in my personal development every day. So it's that never ending process, but it's a concept of making a commitment because, I look at my life and I always say, I want to be my highest and best self. I know Kevin kind of used that phraseology as well. And it's concept of, if that's your goal, what happens to you is all of a sudden you get up in the morning and you don't hit the alarm clock and roll over because you go, wow, is that my highest and best self? Right? It's like, okay. And it's a process of just looking at setting yourself a standard that you choose to live by, so that every day you can go to bed at night and you go, thank you for the awesome day today, Lord. That's my prayer. I just thank him for whatever productivity was, what was achieved in that day, because I set the goal, highest and best life. What would this look like as my highest and best life? What does it look like here? And you'll see changes starting to shift in your life, that you're no longer doing that, oh, I think I'll crash on the couch for an hour, I just feel like it, right? And you start discarding things that are robbing you of your productivity. And this isn't just about your Manatech business, right? Highest and best life isn't just about Manatech. Highest and best life is about, what am I doing with my family? What am I doing with my other obligations, whether it's a church or whatever other organizations you belong to, everything in your life. Just look at it like, what would my highest and best self look like here? And watch how that starts lifting you up to another level. So weekly action tracker, great. Group support, personal development, building, how you're building, and then you have totals on it. So we made both those charts available to you in where do we put it, Lyd? She's not even there.
In the chat.
Should be in chat, right? That's right. Sorry. Okay, in the chat. So snatch them and see if you'd like to use them or make them, redirect them according that fits for you, whatever fits for you. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the numbers that we have on ours and we use with our organization and the people I work with. You could change it and shift it, but there's got to be a sense of accountability in your life. Otherwise, guess what? You're not going to do it. How many of us understand that? How many of us has proven that if there's no accountability, it doesn't get done? Hey, come on. Oh, some of you wow, some of you are just naturally accountable people. That's awesome. I know that is true for me because there are 1,001 distractions in our world, and they will capture your attention at the drop of a hat. And it especially happens in network marketing. Why? Because sometimes we get a little discouraged, somebody says no to us, and then we get a little down, and then we kind of walk away from the business for a couple of hours, a couple of days, how about a couple of weeks? Right? And your upline's calling you 12 times a day trying to find out if you died or something because they can't find you. And the idea is that don't ever let anyone steal your commitment and your joy. Don't let, and it's hard because in network marketing, we're talking to people all the time. And when somebody tells you no, what happens? Your whole disposition goes, oh, I knew that would be my next platinum presidential underneath me, right? Or something. We do this frequently because we already have the dream of getting them in our organization. First of all, you have no clue what they would have become. They could have quit 3 days later. So quit making that assumption. And look at it like this, how many no's do I need to have before I get my yes? I just check that off and you can celebrate. Okay, that's one more no before I get my yes. So bring it on as something positive instead of something that grabs you and steals your joy. I always feel that way about lots of things have happened in my life. A lot of people know a lot of stories about, bad things that have happened in my life with my family members and other things. And I never let it rob my joy. It might in the moment, but the whole concept was, okay, how am I living my highest best life? If I carry this forward, this weight, this burden with me, it's impossible for me to live my highest best life. Right? So we want to be able to get into that release system, let that go so we're not stuck in that mindset. So we have online, offline, reactivation. How many of you have people you need to reactivate? How many people have called up? Raise your hand if you have some people on your list that you just like looking at. And okay, so how much longer do you want them to sit on your list? I'm just going, let's take a charge on that. And again, put that as another goal. I'm going to work on at least 4 reactivations on a daily basis till I complete my list. Some of you might say, Mary Jo, I think I need about 40. Those are some of us that started in Manatech when it first opened its door. We have so many on our list, but whatever that is to you, tackle it. I find that a lot of those people that I call on reactivation, some of them have no interest, but a lot of them, when you have a lot of joy and a lot of pleasantry, and you can't wait to see them back connected with you in this way, and you really loved having them involved. And here's some new things that are happening and the incredible benefit. This is a huge one right now. You never have to, you can do everything online if that's what you choose. This business is exploding online. Have you ever thought about that? They might have been afraid to talk to strangers. Well, online you can talk to anybody, it doesn't matter, right? But they were not going to walk down the street and introduce themselves to somebody that's walking across the street. I've never had that problem. I like the people approach and grabbing onto them and chasing them down the hallway or the street or whatever, or talking about squeezing melons in grocery stores. That's really a lot of fun for me because I love being around people. But we're all made differently. And if you prefer like doing more things online, then you have an endless stream of possibilities. So don't let it limit yourself. Start looking at, I just need to get some more leads. I need to get some more names. I got to spend more time online. I've got to, follow your tracker sheets and watch your business grow. But it's the discipline of just doing it. I love that from Nike. Just do it, right? So all of these things are just things, but I want to give you one more thing before we close out tonight. And this is just telling you 6 things to let go of. I kind of came across this list and I thought, wow, this is really powerful. Let me share this with people tonight. And so it's 6 things to let go of. Okay. One is let go of control. How many of us feel like we have to control everything that we're associated with? If we don't have control, yeah, there we go. I know, it's all personality quadrants, right? I mean, we're all made differently, right? What we need to start doing is accepting the uncertainty. Accept the uncertainty. Surrender to the idea that you can't always be in control. And you can adopt a mindset of I like this phraseology. If it's meant to be, it is yours. It will happen. If it's meant to be. We can put our best efforts forth, and guess what? Everything could fall apart. But you know what? I always look back and go, well, it wasn't meant to be. The other thing I always do is in a self-examination. How could I have been better? I hear a lot of Manitechers go, oh, that person, she doesn't even worth talking to. She was negative or blah, 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 blah. And I go, wait a minute, stop. There's no lesson learned in that language. Are you guys following me? When you have somebody who says no, you look at and go, what could I have done differently? Is there something I could have done differently? Not from criticizing yourself and beating up on yourself, but this is a time of growth. This is how we get better. Ignoring it and always blaming it on the other person will never grow you as a person. Did you ever see that? Right? Can we agree with that? Because you're stuck in need to be right box instead of need to grow box. Okay. I mean, I love it every single time. Some people, Mary Jo, no one ever says no to you. I said, are you kidding me? I get lots of no's. And sometimes I really look at myself and say, I could have handled that question better. And I use it as a educational process instead of as I'm going down in the slump. I'm putting my head back in the shell of as a snail, and I don't want to talk Manitech for the next 3 days. Well, who am I destroying in the process of somebody saying no to me? Point the finger out, curl it back. I'm destroying my own business. That doesn't make any sense. So I lost a prospect. So what? Does that mean I should pummel myself and ruin my business for the next 3 days by not talking to anyone else? You notice how we do that? It's kind of like, hey, stop it. Let it empower you to go out and talk to 3 more people today instead of stop talking to people. So, right? All right. Bitterness. Life is too short to be bitter. Yeah. Don't ever choose on bitterness. And don't waste life on holding on to agony in your life. My process is always, how can I find happiness? How can I find joy? In whatever happens in my life, how can I find joy? And some of you know the process. I'll just share briefly that my husband was in hospice the last 6 months. And I started going over there 3 times a day, 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 noon, and 5 o'clock at night, every single day. And I started baking brownies and cookies for the staff because I thought, oh my gosh, these people, what a horrible, I would never want to work in a hospice. How many of you guys want to work in a hospice event, right? And so how can I make it beautiful for them? And they love my homemade cookies and brownies. By the way, my husband passed and I'm still taking brownies and cookies over there not twice a week, only once a week, right? I said, you're not getting rid of me that easy because there was so much joy in their mind. So the idea is we gotta find in areas like that. And I had friends call me and say, Mary Jo, you got to stop going over there. You're crazy. And they were getting mad at me. And I said, are you kidding me? I love loving on people. I met so many phenomenal people. There are a lot of people there that never had visitors, and I got to do that. So we can find, this is what I call finding beauty out of ashes. Even in some of our toughest moments, can we really just look at it and open ourselves up to what God might bring to you or whatever He might bring in your heart? How do I make beauty out of ashes? It's always available. Not always easy to see, but always available. So another way to look at life, get rid of the bitterness. Don't let that eat you up ever, right? Number 3, let go of people pleasing. Never. You can't make anyone happy. If they're upset, don't keep trying. You know, there are a lot of people out there and we want to please everybody. I don't want to, I want to get to know you. I want to love on you. I want to care about you. If you don't care about me, that's okay. Then we don't have a match. If there's no caring coming back, then there's not a match. And that's great. And I tend to walk away from people and say, hey man, I'll pray for you. Yeah. Hey, I got what's going on. And here's another concept. Do you know how many of those people have come back? I leave them my card and they call me because most people don't interact with them that way to really care. Back to the same phrase. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Right? So command that. Scarcity mindset's another one. Let go of your scarcity. There are thousands, millions of people out there waiting for better health, for a source of income, and you have both to offer them. But I think the coolest thing you have to offer them is a great friendship. And I think how many agree with me on that? How many really, what do we have to offer? Thanks, man. I mean, we can build great friends. Some of my best friends in the planet are my Manatech friends, right? I mean, that's what we're building. We're building relationships with people. So always look for that. Don't be a scarcity, take abundance. And 6, let go of being perfect. Let go of being perfect. I have people sometimes, Mary Jo, well, I could have done this. I go, what are you doing? You know, I mean, they get in the spiral. And I go, I don't care about perfection. I care about, it starts with a C, perfection. I care about connection, not perfection. Write that down. Care about connection, not perfection. So the idea is every person you meet, how do I connect with them? How is my way to connect with them? And that's what you want to do. And that'll create incredible results for you. So yes, you can. There's no doubt in my mind that all of you have an endless capacity to do this business. And, you know, mindset's huge. It's how you look at things. It's how you choose to be. It's your beingness you choose when you go out there and meet people and talk to people. So I'm just prayerful that all of you choose it. Let's go out there and hit the home run ball. And what's our phrase? Make 2025 our best year yet. How's that for a team? We're all together in this. So thank you guys for
Hey,
being
Mary Jo, what was number 5 again?
number 5 on my list.
Yeah.
5, scarcity mindset, getting rid of scarcity mindset.
Great job, Mary Jo. That was fantastic, as always.
Thank you, Kevin, you too. Thanks everybody for being here. We're planning on having some of these like on a monthly basis just to get everybody back together and kind of have fun together and get different speakers up as well. So thanks for being here tonight. And again, I really believe that this is our year. I really do. I think we have phenomenal people, all of you, who can go out there and make a difference in a lot of people's lives. But we've got to let go of our barriers and just allow ourselves to go out there and what I call love on people, right? And just
Hey, Mary Jo, can you recap your 6 things to give up?
go up, control. In other words, accept uncertainty. Number 2 is bitterness. Life's too short, right? Number 3 is people pleasing. We do a lot of that. Number 4, FOMO, fear of missing out, right? be appreciative where you are now. And 5 is let go of your scarcity mindset. There's abundance everywhere. And you can choose abundance, even if you have $2 in the bank. You can have an abundant personality, even with $2 in the bank, because it's a choice that we make. It's not about what's in our bank account, it's a choice. And number 6, let go of being perfect. We can work towards being perfect, but let go of being perfect. It's just, always drive, how can I be better? I say that every day of my life. And, I'm not getting any younger, but I keep saying it every day of my life. How can I be better? Because it's always a joy to be on that self-improvement path, right? Okay, good.
Okay, well then, let me just do some administrative. Next Tuesday night is the new opportunity meeting with Kevin, Mary Jo, and Al. And then on the 18th is our Super Saturday training, 10 a.m. till 11:30 or noon. So
Great.
make sure you have those on your calendar.
So don't miss. And most important with the opportunity meeting is what? What does Mary Jo say? Bring somebody. We love, no, we see your beautiful faces and we love to perform for you and we love to do these things. Kevin will agree with me, but we even love it more when we look out and we go, Kevin, half that group, I didn't recognize any of them. And that's when we have our greatest joy, because then we know you're out there sharing with people and bringing them along so they can experience what we have to offer for all of you. And that's hopefully exciting opportunity meetings to let them have lots of questions and then you follow up with them and we have new Manitechers. Okay, everybody, love you all.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Good night, guys.
Bye.